Hi, I'm Donna Meredith with Southern Literary Review, and today we're here with Annette Clapsaddle, and she's going to tell us about her new book, Even As We Breathe. And we're going to start off by playing Two Truths and a Lie. All right, Annette.
All right. So, my first one is while researching Even As We Breathe, I spent some time at the Grove Park Inn because that is one of the settings. And while staying at the Grove Park Inn, I stayed in the infamous Pink Lady haunted room on the property. I stayed one night. It's hard to get a room there, but so that's one. My next one was that I keep a cowbone on my desk where I write that a friend of mine gave me after doing an early edit of a draft of the novel, because the novel prominently features a bone. And then my third one is that I actually write while mountain biking, and I wrote an entire chapter during one specific mountain biking ride.
Oh, I just don't believe you did it while mountain biking. Which I think that's the lie. Tell us the truth now.
Actually, the lie is that I never stayed in the Pink Lady room. I can't afford the Grove Park. And it is really hard to stay in the haunted room they have there. But I do write while I mountain bike. It's just all in my head. And so I wrote one chapter on a very specific ride, but it wasn't written down. It was just in my head.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I can't even chew gum while I mountain bike, so without killing myself. So that's an achievement, just to be able to think about anything else. Part of the novel is set at the Grove Park Inn. So why the Grove Park Inn? What led you to set a story there?
Yeah, the very unique history during World War II is what drew me to the Grove Park. So really the novel came about because of the setting first. I had learned that the Grove Park held Axis diplomats as prisoners of war during World War II for a summer. And I found that so fascinating that, this pinnacle of luxury all of a sudden became a prison. And then the odd circumstances of individuals going from being diplomats to being prisoners. And then, of course, my main character is from Cherokee, so that allowed me the space to talk about citizenship and identity and the complexity of it.
Let's talk about that main character. County, did I pronounce that right?
You did. Mm-hmm.
What made you choose a 19-year-old boy as the main character rather than, say, S.E. Stamper, who's pretty close in age? It was interesting to me that you chose to tell the story from his point of view.
Right. Yeah. The easy answer is that is the voice that came to me. But when I tried to identify why that is, I teach high school, and I have a soft spot for teenage boys who are trying to figure out their direction in life, who are very smart in certain ways, but maybe not in the traditional school smart way where they're turning in their homework every day and they know exactly what they want to do and all those things. And so I think it's just a really fascinating point in the average teenage boy's life of what direction they're going to go in. They make some mistakes that I find entertaining. And so I think that was probably why that voice is in my head. I needed someone who was willing to take risk, but also a little bit uncertain about the direction that he wanted to go, and so that just seemed like a better fit. I have a tendency to start out with male voices and then really become enamored with my female characters in the book, and they have their own strong voices, even though they're not the protagonist. So I definitely think that my next, well, I know my next one will have a female protagonist.
I wondered if you would use this one in your high school classes. Teenage boys shy away from reading novels that feature females as the protagonist. Girls are used to it. We read both sexes as the protagonist and don't seem to get threatened by it. But I know I also taught high school English and found that the boys were not real crazy when I would introduce a book with a girl as the protagonist. Did you think you might ever use this book in your class?
I don't know. It feels a little awkward right now, especially to put in an order for a class set of my own books. I'm not sure my school would be okay with that or not.
Autograph
and it is,
free?
yeah, right. Yeah, it would be a different experience. So I won't rule it out. And I've had students ask me if they were going to read it or not in class. So I don't know. I won't say one way or the other right now.
I think they would like it. And you would have a chance to introduce a lot about Cherokee heritage. I know you teach Cherokee studies as well as English, so it just would fit in very well. And I think you have some themes that a lot of young people relate to. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is County is kind of in this love-hate, push-pull relationship with his home. He wants to leave, and yet it's his place of safety too. Where did that come from?
Again, that comes from teaching high school, where I have students every year say, I can't wait to get out of here. I can't wait to get out of here. And then they are not happy when they get out of here, or they want to come back, or and I've often been asked, because I went away to school, why I came back. A lot of people don't understand why I would come back to small rural Western North Carolina. And I love this place. I think it offers everything that I want. There's natural beauty. The people are amazing and complex, and so is the culture. But we have a tendency to think that small communities can't offer the complexity of larger spaces, larger urban spaces. And so I think with County being the age that he is, he's trying to figure that out, what community holds for him what he needs. But it's also important, I think, to spend time away from your home, to see what else there is out there, to know what aspects of your home you truly value, and maybe what you want to share with the rest of the world, what you want to bring back to your own community. And I just think he's at a good age to do that.
What was the biggest challenge of writing a book set in World War II?
I am terrible with dates and numbers, and I get very nervous when dealing in the minutia of facts, especially about something like World War II, where it's been studied and written about. And my husband is a former history teacher, so there's a lot of pressure, and that for me was the challenge. I was actually dealing with two different timelines, really three different timelines, because County's father was involved in the tail end of World War I, really just when there were some troops left over there. And I wanted County at a certain age. And so it was a very, very tight timeline to make everything plausible. for it to work for County's father to have been overseas when he was, and County to be the age that he is now. And I checked those numbers countless times, no pun intended, just to make sure that it added up. And I still get nervous about it, thinking about it.
I don't blame you. I feel the same way. Tell me about your writing support group. Like, obviously your husband is probably pretty supportive. Does he proofread the historical facts for you? And do you have a writer's group?
Okay. My husband is supportive in that he bought me a pair of noise canceling headphones that I greatly appreciate because we have 2 young boys. But he does, I'll ask him historical questions, and ask him questions about, does this make sense, or how did this actually happen, or would people know this information, and those kinds of questions. He doesn't read drafts for me, but I do have an amazing writer support group in different ways. I participate in the Appalachian Writers Workshop at Hyman Settlement School in the summer, and that's a great group of individuals, just incredibly supportive all year long. The people I attend that workshop with, instructors as well. One of my best friends teaches right next door, Ben Cutler. He's a poet. His poem is an epigraph in the beginning of the book. And so we literally step outside our classroom door and say, hey, will you look at this line? Does this make sense? Or, can you help me rephrase this? And so he's a huge support for me. I have a mentor, former colleague, Dawn Gilchrist, who read early drafts, and she lives nearby, and her husband is also a local historian, and he would read drafts. So it's kind of an ad hoc group. I don't belong to a formal writers group, but through workshops and colleagues, I feel like I have a great support network.
Well, thank you for talking with us today, and tell us where we can buy your book.
Okay. You can buy Even As We Breathe at your favorite independent bookstore. Of course, it's available on Amazon or anywhere you buy books, but I highly encourage you to seek out your favorite bookstore. Mine are City Lights bookstore in Sylva, North Carolina, or Malaprops in Asheville, North Carolina.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.